Arapça yazı tipi tasarımı isimli programımızı bugün Thomas Milo'yu ağırlıyoruz burada. Kendisi Arapça yazıyı hat sanatı seviyesinde dijital ortamlarda uygulanması için çalışmalar yapan birisi. Bugün bize hem kendi yaptığı çalışmaları gösterecek hem Latin ve Arap yazısıyla bunu harmanlayarak yaptığı çalışmalar da var. Bunları gösterecek. O yüzden açıkçası çok kıymetli bir program. Umarım herkes istifadeli ve ilham verici olur. Bu şekilde.
Maalesef yalnız çat pat Türkçe konuşabildiğim için İngilizce konuşacağım. Müsaadenizle. I would like to start with a short image of the graphic landscape of Arabic before the arrival of the computer. And I start with some footage from World War II.
Bir görselle başlamak istediğini söyledi. Eski bir görüntüyle başlayacağız. Can I explain something to the audience?
Yep, please go ahead.
Merhaba, hoş geldiniz. Kusura bakmayın, biraz koşturdum, o yüzden eserse kaldım. Şimdi bu sunumumuza başlamadan önce benim buradaki görevimle alakalı bir açıklamada bulunmak istiyorum. Burada kısmen bir yardımcı konumundayım. Bazı anlaşılması gereken, vurgulanması gereken önemli noktalarda araya girip detayları olabildiğince tercüme etmeye çalışacağım ama bu tam bir tercüme şeklinde değil de biraz daha anlaşılmasına katkıda bulunmak için bir açıklama şeklinde olacak. Ayrıca Thomas Bey'in bana söylediği buradaki görseller öyle bir ayarlanmış ki hiç dil bilmeyen birisine dahi bu sunum yapıldığında sadece görsellere bakılarak birçok şey, yani neredeyse tamamı anlaşılabilecek bir şekilde ayarlanmış. Dolayısıyla benim katkılarımın illaki burada faydası olacaktır diye ümit ediyoruz. Bir görüntü ile başlayacağız. İkinci Dünya Savaşı zamanından bazı yazıların görüntüleri.
İngilizce, Fransızca, Arapça. Now you get fantastic images of airplanes, but the point is, what you see is perfect nasr script.
Burada çok mükemmel bir nesih yazısı görmektesiniz.
And if you would do that today,
fakat şu anda aynı şeyi bugün burada yapsanız
looks like this.
Teknolojisiyle bu şekilde gözüküyor.
This is also from news footage. It says Al-Malik Farouk. So King Farouk, Yazı al-Ustul al-Baratani. It's Diwani, used functionally, very tightly spaced Ruka. And today's technology doesn't come near this quality.
Burada görmek üzere, can you come back? Burada görmekte olduğunuz şey, göstermeye çalıştığı şey, eskiden haberlerde bu yazılmış olan Arap kaligrafisindeki güzelliği ve detaylandırılmayı anlatıyor. Üstteki çıkardığı beyaz yazı ise şu andaki günümüz teknolojisiyle yazıldığında ne kadar zayıf, ne kadar yetersiz olduğunu vurgulamaya çalışıyor.
Well, Harold, you have seen the Ruka exhibition, and you see this Ruka could be used there. It's very well done.
Yani
This one,
serginin güzelliğini gördünüz.
it's everyday usage. Qawafil al-Atlanti, the Atlantic convoys. It's robust. I would like you to pay attention to the lam alif. Because in another picture, they actually form a ligature. Thank you. And there are two lam alifs in one image. One lam alif, which is actually always called a ligature, but it's not a ligature, it's a fusion. You cannot disconnect them. Whereas the other one, you can disconnect, the green one. Now, look at this. You would expect this kind of thuluth
Bu tarz bir
in a religious context, but it says
metinde görmek.
Nasr al-Ummam al-Muttahida, the victory of the United Nations.
Hiç, bir ibare yok yani.
Yeah, Akrab kul yawm is. So this is what you would get today. The victory of the United Nations.
Maalesef bu kadar zayıf bir yazı oluyor. Aynı şeyi bugün bilgisayarda yazdığımız zaman.
This is almost a comic book. Ta'irat al-Khalij al-Farsi Spitfire, the British Spitfire airplane in pictures, and you see it's a bit fuzzy, but you can see this is also high-grade Nasr. And again, pay attention to the ligature. The ta and the alif are connected in normal everyday usage.
Eski bir kitapçıktan alınmış bir görüntü.
These are not from old books, these are from propaganda leaflets.
Çok eski kitaplar.
They were meant to be read by the people, by the Jumhur. Now, this picture I found on the internet. These are road signs on a wartime road. Read this. Are you prepared to act if ambushed?
Bu savaş zamanında yazılmış bir metin. Bu yol üzerinde saldırıya uğramaya hazır mısınız manasında bir ibare ve bu basit gözüken ibare bile çok sanatlı yazılmış. Az sonra gösterecek. Sağ tarafta divani talikat ile yazılmış metni.
The Arabic is a bit fuzzy, but I've enlarged it and then I've reproduced it.
Görüntü çok net olmadığı için
İkra hada
yazmış. Aşağıda gördünüz.
Hal anta musta'id lil amal idha, top line, and then are you ready for action in case of hajamak al-adu, attacked you the enemy ala tul hada tariq, on the length of this road.
Çok basit bir açıklamayı bile bu kadar sanatlı yazmışlar. Yani bu yolun üzerinde giderken size düşman saldırırsa ne yapacağınızı biliyor musunuz tarzında bir ibare. Yani bu kadar basit bir ibare olmasına rağmen ne kadar sanatlı yazıldığını vurguluyor. Şu anda sol tarafta altta çıkan görüntüde de günümüz teknolojisinin ne kadar yetersiz, tek düze bir yazım olduğunu gösteriyor. Bu fontun yetersiz olduğunu vurguluyor.
So this is what not computer technology, but computer design did with Arabic script. And now, why this picture? Because today historical movies are made. They're very detailed. They have every detail of the uniforms, the weapons, the trucks. Everything is very well reconstructed, like this one.
Diyor ki şu anda mesela günümüzde bazı savaş filmleri yapılıyor ve bütün detaylar o kadar mükemmel ki diyor. Kostümler, arabalar, binalar çok güzel dizayn ediliyor. Fakat diyor bir bakıyoruz ki tabelalara çok zayıf ve dikkat çekiyor diyor.
So this is a BBC series that's very popular at the moment, and you can see it coming. The graphic designers are totally naive and ignorant about the history of Arabic script.
Çok meşhur bir film karesinden bir görüntü bu. Diyor ki yani hiçbir bilgileri yok, çok zayıf.
Should have looked like this.
Böyle olmalıydı halbuki.
And there are more signs, so this should have looked like this.
Aynı şekilde. Burada daha.
And I know from personal observation, I was in the army in the Lebanon, and this is an actual sign in the 1980s.
Bu gerçek bir görüntü. 1980'lerde bir görüntü.
And this is what our computer technology made with it. In other words, computer technology is not the problem. The problem is lack of knowledge.
Esas sorun olan şu andaki bilgisayar teknolojisinin yetersizliği değil, insanların bu konudaki yetersiz bilgiye sahip olup da bu bilgileri bilgisayar teknolojisiyle uyarlayamamaları.
So that is a quick introduction, and then I come with something very heavy. I have no mercy.
Şimdi daha ağır, merhametsizce bir giriş yapacağız daha.
I have to move to the front. This is an example, an exercise in how to study Arabic script.
Bu Arap yazısının nasıl çalışılmasıyla alakalı bir şey.
And Arabic script grammar is my translation of hat kaideleri.
Hat Kaideleri diye bir kitabın kendisi tercümesi.
And I'm using methodology that is developed for linguistics because there is no methodology to analyze Arabic script. But I'm giving an example. The first question is, this is not necessary because we have lots of meshk. But there is a problem with meshk. For instance, they only write 2 letters, and from kaf, alif, kaf, ba, and so on, there is no kaf lam, or lam alif. There is only they move to meme straight away. So there's 1 letter omitted, and that's not just one meshk example. They all omit it.
Bizim eski meşk kitaplarımızda, hat meşk kitaplarımızda bütün harflerin birleşimleri yok çünkü buna gerek yok.
Well, the explanation is,
harf birleşimleri yapılıyor.
çünkü the explanation is that in the human mind you can calculate the missing information, but if you are preparing an algorithm, you need to be more elaborate.
Çünkü insan zihninin bunu yapabilmesi, bu bilgileri birleştirebilmesi bekleniyor ama bunu bilgisayara aktardığınız zaman çok daha farklı bir şey karşınıza çıkıyor tabii ki.
We found the best meshk in the work of Hashim Muhammad al-Khattat al-Baghdadi. He has more than 2 letters. He have, as you can see, some examples have actually 5 letters.
Bunların arasında en iyilerinden biri bu Muhammed Haşim'in meşklerinden biri.
And he has examples where the initial letter is actually a lam and not just a kaf.
Ve başlangıç harfi burada şu anda lam ve kaf değil.
Now, what gives you the right to treat script as if it is language? In other words, why would you use language versus script? Then this, by the way, this is an overview of my argument. Why use language as a metaphor? Apply linguistic concepts, make models of scripts, make script technology, text technology, and then I show practical results. Now, language versus script. It's intuitive. Everybody follows the rules of a language. In Turkish, every Turkish speaker follows the rules, but not every Turkish speaker can explain the rules. This is also true for a khatat. All the khatatin, you follow the same rules, but they cannot always list the rules.
Dil bilen insanlar Türkçe'de mesela.
But it is a communication protocol. The sender and the receiver agree on the principles. And the actual rules are sometimes insane. They're not regular. Turkish is maybe a case where the rules are almost regular, but many languages like English, French, the rules are insane, but everybody follows them. They're not rational.
Şöyle, dil bilen, yani Türkçe veya herhangi bir dilde çok fazla kural vardır. Gramer kuralı vesaire. Ve bunları çok mükemmel bir şekilde konuşuruz biz bunu ana dilimiz olarak. Fakat gramerini ve detaylı kural bilgilerini açıkla desen çok az kişi bunu mükemmel şekilde yapabilir diyor. Bir benzetme şeklinde.
Okay, and then to a certain extent there's tolerance for errors or deviation. For instance, the example gidelim mi, gidek mi. You understand both, but you could say one is not really correct. But it's correct because as long as people understand, it works. And that's also true in calligraphy. And finally, you have formal and informal. We were just talking about Fusha, the standard classical Arabic, or Amaya, the casual speech in the streets. But both have grammars, otherwise they would not work. Then applying linguistic concepts, and this is a reason why you would want to do this. You are now looking at a series of concentric circles.
Bir takım görüntüyü gösteriyor size. Karmaşık bir görüntü. Beynimiz bunu işleyemediğinden bahsedecek biraz sonra. Bunu algılayamadığından.
Our mind cannot process this information.
Bu bilgiyi işleyemediğimizden, beynimizin bu bilgiyi işleyemediğinden bahsediyor.
You need the support of this blue ring to see that it is actually concentric circles.
Bu mavi kılavuzu görmeniz lazım ki biraz daha anlayabilirsiniz.
And an everyday example is on top Roman numerals and at the bottom military ranks. So you have a second lieutenant, a first lieutenant, a captain, a major,
Burada bir
a lieutenant colonel, a brigadier general, a major general, a lieutenant general, or a full general.
Burada bir temsil
Your
var.
eyes cannot process this.
Şimdi diyor ki bu bir askeri rütbe olarak bunları düşünürseniz bizim gözümüz bunlara baktığı zaman bunların tamamını işleyemiyor diyor.
And the same is true for Roman numerals. You cannot read these numerals. Your mind cannot process it. And that's why we have this.
Bir karmaşıklık seviyesinden sonra artık çöküyor.
And we have this. And why this example? Because when European designers touch Arabic, they create this problem.
Dolayısıyla
A repetition of identical shapes.
günümüzdeki insanımız bunu Arap yazı kaidelerini uygulamaya çalıştığı zaman bu mantıkta gidiyor. Çok tek düze şeklinde gidiyor.
So, another aspect of linguistic concepts is observation. Just collect evidence. And here's an example of such an operation. You look at a single be, but the be represents identical. Identical is a tooth, dish, şeklindeki harf. And they have dots. The dots are irrelevant. I transliterate them with a single capital be. One be. 2, 3. Oh, but on top is hat kaidelerine göre, according to the script rules. In the middle is hat kaidelerine göre, also according to the script rules, but with typography. And that is already a limitation. And the bottom is hat kaideleri neymiş gibi. Totally ignorant about the existence of rules. And that is what is happening to fonts in the industry.
Şu anda Arap hat kaidelerinin ne olduğuna dair pek bilgimiz yok maalesef.
I'm not going to describe every detail.
Her detayı açıklamayacağım diyor.
But the point is, this is a very rigorous system. I once got a comment by a Syrian member of the audience who said, Mr. Milo, a word with 8, can you count this? 8 cases of be, identical?
8 tane
Doesn't exist in Arabic. And then I said, well,
bu şekilde Arapçada yok. Neden?
do you want evidence? You can get it. Here is 2 cases of evidence. Be tethbitine.
Alın size.
Tethbitine.
Gerçekten böyle bir kelime var. Bu kadar fazla B harfi gibi diş şeklinde yan yana bitişik yazılmış örnek var diyor. Yan yana gelen dişler çok var diyor yani.
It's not difficult to find examples. But these are made legible by vertical elongation. But there is also, this is the minimal system, but there is also an artistic liberty in Arabic, kashida or elongation. It's a horizontal elongation. Now you see a vertical and a horizontal elongation.
Yani dikey uzantılar görüyoruz.
But if you move the elongation or the horizontal elongation, the vertical elongation is pushed around.
Eğer dikey uzantıları keşide tabir ettiğimiz çekme yaparak uzatma hareketini yaparsanız o zaman kısalıyor.
Anyone in the audience who works on programming Arabic fonts will understand that you have reached the limits of possibilities. This is insane. But this is the rule. So you have the wrong technology. And of course, I can show you more examples, but the question is, how do you know this? Well, the best way to find out is evidence. And the cheapest and most efficient way to find evidence is in the Quran, because there are hundreds of thousands of Ottoman Mus'haf examples, all written very carefully by people with the same understanding of Arabic script. And then you have to find a passage in the Quran that has a big collection of examples. So that saves you a lot of work. Now I have Surah 40, Ayah 11, and it has a concentration of denticles.
Şimdi bu kadar örnek bulmak çok kolay. Kur'an-ı Kerim'e baktığımızda bu örnekleri çok kolay bulabiliriz. Burada bir ayete bakıp bunu göreceğiz.
So this is the real thing, an actual manuscript. And this is the same passage.
Şimdi iki tane gerçek el yazması yazıyı görüyoruz.
This was the same calligrapher. It's hardly possible to spot a difference. It looks like a copy of the top and the bottom look identical.
İkisi de aynı hattatın yazıları ve ikinci defa yazmış aynı şeyi ve neredeyse birbirine tıpatıp aynı gibi gözüküyor.
But they're not identical.
Halbuki aynı değiller yani.
And the differences are part of the extra system in Arabic script. And I'm just highlighting a few differences.
Bazı önemli detayları burada görüyoruz.
So by making these comparisons, you are squeezing information out of your evidence.
Bu kadar detaylara baktıkça
And now I found a contrast just that illustrates the point that the rule that we found. The top one, excuse me, the top one and the bottom one is the relaxed form. The top one has one elongation on the last denticle, the noon. It pushes around the raised denticle exactly as we have programmed. Because all the examples of the long list of comparisons were actually programmed by Miriam. Now, this is actually the result of minimal pairs. A minimal pair is when you have two pieces of evidence that are almost identical, except one detail. And I found one in an error in Surah 40, one Quran message, and I'm elaborating this for people who do not know the Quran or know Arabic. But it says here, قَالُوا رَبَّنَا أَمَتَّنَا اثْنَتَيْنِ, and then something is struck out. And then it continues here وَأَحْيَيْتَنَا اثْنَتَيْنِ فَاعْتَرَفْنَا بِذُنُوبِنَا فَهَلْ إِلَى خُرُوجٍ. So what you see is actually this. The man was distracted. Amatana means you killed us twice.
Bir hata yapıyor ve bunun üzerine çiziyor.
Amatana, you killed us twice. Amatana اثنتين.
Bizi iki defa öldürdün, iki defa hayat verdin.
فأحييتنا اثنتين. You brought us back to life twice. And then you get in green فأعترفنا بذنوبنا, and we acknowledged our sins. فهل إلى سبيل. Is there a way out? So this is a minimal pair. It's the same calligrapher, it's the same text,
Aynı hattat, aynı yazı.
same paper, same ink, everything is the same moment in time, same motivation, same mental attitude, same knowledge, everything is the same.
Her şey aynı.
And this man feels the freedom to use two shapes for the same thing.
İki yazıyı aynı şekilde kullanabiliyor.
So he says, فَاعْتَرِفْنَا, in a perfectly beautiful and well executed nasr. And the second time he does it in a different way, also a perfectly executed correct nasr. The only thing that's wrong about it, that he wrote it at the wrong moment. He was distracted.
İki şeyi aynısını tekrar yazması gerekiyor hata yaptığı için. Aynı şeyi tekrar yazmasına göre, tekrar yazmasına rağmen tamamen farklı bir şekilde yazabiliyor.
So, and our machine can reproduce that. We can even draw a line through it.
Aslında bizim şu andaki bilgisayarlarımız, makinelerimiz aynı şekilde bunu yapabilir.
The operative difference is the ra, in fact. And if you change the ra, everything of that connected group from Ain to Ra changes. Anyway, that's the way. And here's another nice example of the principle. If you're studying the dentical issue, you can look for a word with a big number of denticles, like this one.
Bu B'ler dişleri temsil ediyor.
So in Surah 12, ayah 15, we find لَتَنَبَّهْنَهُمْ. And here we find it in this form. Here we find it in this form. They're not the same.
Aynı ayet, farklı yazılar, farklı metinler ama aynı gibi gözüküp aslında birbirinden çok farklı.
You will find many different ways of writing the same thing.
Aynı kelimeyi çok fazla şekilde yazabildiğinizi görüyoruz.
And nevertheless, they are always writing in nasr with no mistake. It's simply nasr with an extra dimension to give calligraphic, artistic liberty to the script. And so this is the لَتُنَبِّئَنَّهُمْ. That's the phrase. And that is how you collect information, and you're done. The analogy is with classical music. This is Mozart. This is often played on Turkish radio. This is the Alaturka. Ta-da-da-da-da, ta-da-da-da-da. You might have heard it on radio. It's a kind of joke in music. But every piano player who is well educated in music will play this without changing a single note. And at the same time, not a single performance of this piece will be the same. And the analogy is with this. These are the winning pieces of a calligraphy exhibition contest organized by Irsika, and this is a winning piece.
İrsika'nın yarışma kazanmış yazılarından bir tanesi. Hattatların çeşitli şekilde artistik nesih hareketleri kullanarak farklı şekillerde yazabildiğini söylüyor.
But there were more than one piece. So this is another winning piece.
Bu da yine İrsika yarışmasında kazanan başka bir nesih hattı.
It's perfect nasr. It's identical to the previous one in style, in understanding of the style, and execution of the style, but the result is completely different, like a different performance of a Mozart symphony. And here's another winning piece, and here another one, and here another one. So there are again another one. So there were 5 or 6 winning pieces.
Hepsi ödül almış parçalar ama hepsinin tarzları birbirinden çok farklı. Aynı yazı çeşidi olmasına rağmen, hepsinin nesih hattıyla yazılmış olmasına rağmen hepsi birbirinden çok farklı.
It's all the same script. And here you see how you catch this information in a grid that was developed in linguistics. It has in vertical, so the stack is the competence, the shared knowledge, and horizontally is the individual execution of the rules. So you can even say this is Hamid Aytaç, the top line, and then you have Kavukçu, another calligrapher, you have Kayışzade, Hafiz Osman, and then at the bottom an Iranian calligrapher. And the only difference with the Iranian ones is that they close the hole in the eye of the fa. And the differences that you see here, the length and the shape variation, these are the extended system.
Burada gördüğünüz satırlarda hep metnin aynı olmasına rağmen çok farklı şekiller yazılabildiğini, farklı şekillerde bu metinleri yazmayı tercih edilebiliyor.
You can fill a grid like this with 4 examples. You can do it with 40, with 400, or with 4,000. At a certain point, you don't need to continue because you catch a generic system. It's like a counting machine. You don't need all the mathematical calculations to understand mathematics.
Yani bunu 4 defa da 40 defa, 400-4000 defa da yazsanız çok farklı şekilde yazabilirsiniz.
Some more examples. Sorry, of the same. I'm focusing on ithnatayn, ahyaytana ithnatayn. So here you have the 3 words, and they keep changing at the same time. Even if they are quite different, you can still see that the basic rules do not change.
Metin aynı olmasına rağmen aynı yerde kurallar hiç değişmiyor. Sadece görüntüleri değişiyor. Kural hep aynı kural.
So this is analysis. So I'm continuing now quite quickly. I just show how much evidence there is.
Sadece ne kadar fazla delil olduğunu göstermek için.
And I can imagine that in this location, it's like preaching to the converted. You know already, but many people don't really know this. And actually, in Europe, this knowledge is absent. The top line is from the 19th century reference Quran made in Leipzig, and it's typeset without any knowledge of script rules.
Maalesef bu şu andaki hat sanatındaki yüksek bilgi olmadığı için böyle bir sorun yaşanıyor.
And the line below is a modern, most widely used typeface, which is stuck into the Times New Roman Latin font. It looks like this, and it's all of the Cairo airport has lettering in this style.
I would like to say that I'm not translating word by word. I'm just translating the important parts.
That's fine. Yeah.
I just skip some little parts.
And in the Islamic script tradition, each style maintains this system, although the system differs from style to style. If you look carefully, the bottom line, which is nastalik or talik, has a different rule system than the top line.
Burada farklı yazı çeşitlerini görüyoruz. Altta talik, ortada rika, üstte nesih yazı çeşitlerini
And
görüyoruz.
ortadaki ruka.
Kuralları birbirinden farklı.
But the effect is the same. They create a solution that makes it possible for your eyes to count the denticles.
Ama bu sizin gözlerinizin dişlerin sayısını sayabilmenizi kolaylaştıran manada hepsi aynı.
So essentially, this is a linguistic methodology applied on the subject of Arabic or Islamic script structure. And here you see the same words from the same Quran passage. On the right, you see many more calligraphers, so many more horizontally, many more individuals, and vertically, the rules become clearer and clearer and clearer. The more examples you add, the clearer it becomes how regular it is.
Yine hep aynı örnekler, aynı metin, fakat ne kadar fazla çeşitle yazılabileceğini defalarca ve defalarca görebiliyoruz.
And at the bottom, you have the harvest of the observations, a computer program. So this computer program, it has the rules, and now the shapes. The shapes we don't take from everybody. We take the shapes only from one calligrapher for consistency. And this is Hashim Muhammad al-Baghdadi. He is Iraqi, but he writes in the Ottoman tradition. But he has some very, very pedagogically organized examples, very well executed, and from there, very small base, we built everything that was missing.
Az önce bahsettiği Hattat'ın yazılarını örnek alarak çok detaylı açıklamaları da olan bu yazıyı alarak buradan bir font oluşturuyor.
I'm zooming in on one detail. If you have two denticles between two non-denticles, it becomes a little U shape. You cannot find this if you have a table with only 3 letters or 2 letters. You need at least 4 letters to discover this rule. And you see there is an example with 3 letters, and in this rule, the final stroke of a denticle, a te, a be, counts for the rule as a letter. So basically, this is the rule.
Kuralı anlayabilmek için farklı yerlere bakıyor.
And actually, the Ottoman Armenian type punch or typesetter Muhandisoglu, Johannes Muhandisoglu, he discovered it and he has it in his punches. But he hardly uses it. If you would cut the correct solution, it would double the number of metal pieces. So this was the first rule of calligraphy that was sacrificed. But in computer technology, you do not need to sacrifice anything.
Aslında şu anda bu feda ettiğimiz kurban giden kurallar şu andaki bilgisayar teknolojiyle uygulanması mümkün.
Now the rule of elongation, I showed you the pushing around of the Hayton shape. It looks anarchistic and unpredictable to a naive eye. But if you look carefully, you can see in the colors that there is a green element, a red element, and a blue element. There are only a few number of basic elements, and there is just a few number of rules. And then it becomes a very small system. So from an analytic point of view, the system is not rocket technology.
Aslında çok basit bazı hareketlerden yola çıkarılarak o kurallar uygulanıyor. Aslında o kadar da yapılamayacak bir şey değil yani.
And then once you have the system, you can generate every imaginable system, solution for a group of letters instead of just a few. Like here are 28, there are here 42, 206, 482 in this one, 14. This is the computer at work. Once you have the mathematics of it, you can make more shapes than any calligrapher ever did, and still practically every one of them looks natural and legitimate. So that is the linguistic approach. Then you end up with technology, a script. You can make, turn it around. You can. This is like in InDesign a preset, a style design tool. I took the same words to show the results, a demo. Change the parameters, and then all of a sudden the appearance of the text changes.
Buradaki programı kullanarak çok basit ayarlamalar yaparak bütün oradaki görüntüleri değiştirebiliyor.
And here you see more. This is like an InDesign style design tool with immediate results on screen. You can see what you're doing.
Yani burada yaptığınız her bir ayarlamadan sonra anlık olarak nasıl farklar oluştuğunu görebiliyorsunuz.
So ra and alif have been changed to a certain percentage, but so I'm going to go through this very quickly. It just gives you an idea that analysis produces synthesis. You can now create a machine that actually behaves like the observations that you made.
Çok hızlı üzerinden geçeceğiz.
So even the spacing between the words, everything that is in the mind of a calligrapher, we can now make reproduce.
Zikrinde aklındaki her şeyi burada çok daha detaylı bir şekilde.
And it is actually just a list of numbers. Yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, no. You know, the boring stuff.
Hepsi numaralarla yapılan şeyler.
And it is not limited to nasr. We also have applied this concept on nastaliq, which is one of the most challenging styles.
Da sınırlı değil. Diğer hat çeşitleriyle de bunu yapabiliyoruz.
Nastaliq with elongation. There's no technology that can handle that. So in passing, I have to say our team pioneered a completely different approach to the technology that handles script. Because the standard approach is take the existing Latin technology and then squeeze other scripts into the technology. And we thought that in the age of abstract thinking, that there is no need for this. And then the result is text technology. For instance, if you are dealing with the Quran, the page, in the Medina format of the Quran, there must always be a surah, an ayah number at the end of the page. And that means that some pages have too much text and sometimes they have too little text. As you can see here, a static font doesn't fill out.
Medine Kur'an'dan bir örnek görüyoruz. Aynı sayfa olsa bile bazıları daha yoğun, bazıları daha seyrek.
So all these rules we can use to stretch or to compress text without showing. And then it's actually used to create books. We created a website for the Omani government of the Quran, but it's a printing system, and we also printed the Quran with this system in the Ottoman Nasr style, with all these possibilities.
Bu şekilde bir Kur'an-ı Kerim basıldı ve basılabiliyor. Oman hükümetinin yaptırdığı bir Kur'an-ı Kerim şu anda bu şekilde basıldı.
We made a prototype for the Princeton project that analyzes the Cairo Geniza, where there were very old manuscripts found. I'm going to skip through this because the details are not relevant for this context. But basically all the styles that I just showed can also be applied on any text. You see, this is the same text playing around with nastaliq and even roka. So now it becomes a roka text in the Ottoman style, like you had at the exhibition. And now the final cherry in the pie, I had never seen qablahum in this shape. I'd never seen it.
Daha önce hiç bu şekilde bu kablahum'daki H çeşidini görmemiştim diyor.
But it is naskh, and the basic elements, generic fa or qaf, and it's. I tried it in the Mus'haf Muscat. You can actually select the word, bring up a menu, and then navigate through the rule system, and then this is close to what I saw. So by double-clicking on it, I've changed the shape to that structure, and now you see the whole page has to change because of that. If one word contracts, other words have to grow in order to keep the balance.
Bunu bilgisayara uygulatabiliyor.
So essentially, this is the whole concept of script grammar summarized. This is on top is a real handwritten naskh by someone who has the rules in his mind, and at the bottom you see an approximation, the average Ottoman hand made with a machine with the same rules.
Yapılmış olan şey yukarıda normal bir hattatın gerçek el yazısıyla yazmış oldu. Altta da şu anda kullandığı programla bunu nasıl bilgisayar yazısına çevirdiğini gösteriyor. Aynı şekilde ne kadar birbirine benzediğini.
So, and if you have the patience, I have a final presentation that shows a lot of books that have been made with this technology.
Eğer biraz daha sabrınız varsa bununla alakalı biraz daha sunumlar yapabilirim diyor.
And that presentation was actually done by Miriam the day before in Antwerp, but I'm now taking over from Miriam.
Meryem bu sunumu yapmıştı diyor. Tekrar şimdi yapacağım.
Okay, so they had the International Day of Mother Languages in Antwerp, and the theme was how to combine Arabic or multi languages. And Antwerp is the home of the Plantin Museum, where in Europe multilingual typography was pioneered. Polyglot is the word, multilingual. An example, and this is an Ottoman example. You may recognize it. This is the typesetting of Ohannes Muhendisyan, and the punches were made by analyzing Kazasker Mustafa İzzet Efendi. And the text, actually it says, La seha ma'an nahm. There cannot be health when you are voracious, when you eat a lot.
Çok fazla yemek yediğin zaman.
But it's explained in Persian. They call it tercüme, and then it's at Turki in Turkish. So there are 3 language versions of the same aphorism. Then a masterwork in Istanbul is the Ottoman dictionary that you might know, the Red House dictionary, where for every Turkish word there is an English explanation. But the interesting thing is that 1890, again by an Armenian, that's interesting, Boyacı.
Bu eski bir sözlük örneği.
So the son of the painter. And then the word tashih is also written according to the rules. It is not really beautiful, but they stick to the rules. And here you see the front page, Kitabi Ma'ani al-Lehja, Lee James, Red House el-Inglizi, the dictionary made by the Englishman James Redhouse. And then you have in the last century, when I started to study, I had actually to do an exam on this, but I noted that everything, all the Arabic is handwritten and all the transcriptions are with a typewriter.
Bu gördüklerimiz hep yazım kurallarına uygun şekilde yazılmış.
This is again Red House. Actually, the one I showed first is the second Red House. The first Red House is completely handwritten, and it is Ottoman Turkish to Ottoman Turkish.
The second sözlüğü tamamen Osmanlıca yazılı.
And the second one is Ottoman Turkish to English. with a transcription from before Atatürk. And then this is the Atatürk edition, you could say. It has now, you see Tashih again at the bottom. It's written now with Latin letters, but they still give the old spelling in Roca. It's written by Berk, a famous, but it's not really calligraphy, but it's lettering. Yeah, it's adequate. And this is the one that I bought in the early 70s when I came here as a student. It cost me 152 liras. For your information, to 150 billion today. An Urdu newspaper count, same principle, handwritten nastaliq, and then a typewriter that is modified with extra shapes. 68. The Oxford English and Arabic Dictionary, one that I used when I studied Arabic. And here you see the word tashih again. It's handwritten, but it's handwritten like a typesetting machine, which in a way is ridiculous. But and then you have Lebanese Ruh al-Khat al-Arabi. It's typeset, and the typesetting is already domesticated. It tries to follow the rules of Arabic, of Latin script, but on the cover of the book and the blurb, they use, to make it attractive, they use authentic Arabic here. And you see, this is a reasonable Roca. And here, the final one, this is an Atlas, Al-Atlas al-Jadid, the new Atlas, Al-Kuwait wal-Alam, Kuwait and the world. And the whole thing is written by hand. Everything.
Bu tamamen yazısı yazılmış.
And in this world, of course, desktop publishing arrives, and the first to use it is the United Nations. They are analyzing the new possibilities in a book they call Typographia Polyglotta, multi-language typography. And they take English as the norm, and I think that's the error in thinking. English is not a norm and Latin is not a norm. It's a nice norm for English, but not for Arabic. And so if you compare it even with Czech, the Czech doesn't work anymore. The Dutch doesn't work. And the Arabic looks sort of compressed. And we did an exercise on, now this is, this is Persian. And this is Arabic. They got it inside, but the Arabic looks not nice. And with a little effort, by changing the sizes, this is how we would do it. And this is how we would do the Persian. So I'm going back to their example. Well, Persian is actually written with Persian letters, and now it fits. And how did we get there? And now we get, how do you discover the balancing? So first I showed how do you discover the rules of the internal rules, and now the external rules. The way the industry does it, they project the rules of Latin script onto Arabic. And the number...
Latin harfleriyle yazılan mantaliteyi Arap harfleriyle yazılana uygulamaya çalışıyorlar.
So you see on the left, you see this is Times New Roman of Microsoft, and on the right they take an Arabic design. It has nothing to do with it, but it has the same heights somehow. And this is widely used. The second one is a famous Latin design. It's Frutiger, I believe. Was it Zapf? Hermann Zapf. I think it's Hermann Zapf. Anyway, then Nadine Shaheen creates shapes for Arabic that match Zapf. So it has nothing to do with Arabic. It's like subjugating Latin to a foreign system. And the third one is from the mind of one designer. This is Titus Nemet. He designs the Arabic and the Latin together. It's in balance, but still it's the work of the mind of someone who is an outsider.
Sağda yazılan metinlerin Arap hattıyla hiçbir alakası olmadığından bahsediyor şu anda.
Now, I am not a designer, and in our team I have quite an influence, and my idea is that if I look at Latin script, I'm looking at 2,000 or more years of evolution and thinking about a script. And if I look at Arabic script,
baktığımızda 2000 yıllık bir gelişmeyi
I look at at least a millennium and a half of thinking and evolution of Islamic script. And this starts with the rounded scripts in the year 1000. So you have 1,000 years of evolution of rounded scripts. There is no need to look at Latin or Bulgarian. You can look at the script itself and map it. And the first thing you notice is that the grid is completely different. Each script. And then the same, if you look at an italic script, it has a history. And then later it's matched to a Roman. And bold is, of course, another evolution. But inside the Islamic script edition, there is so much available that you find solutions to deal with the problems that you have inside the Islamic tradition itself. That's the argument that I took. So I don't want to design for the Middle East. I only want to register and see what you get. If you follow the European approach, which includes the X-height thinking, Latin content looks the amount of surface used by the same content. On the left you have English, on the right you have the original Arabic text.
Aynı metnin Arapça ve İngilizcesini görüyoruz. Kapladığı yerlere bakın, çok daha az yer kaplıyor Arapçası.
You see that it's less than half the amount of surface. You see how this is out of balance. And you see the Latin looks ridiculously big and the Arabic looks ridiculously small.
Harfleri çok büyük gözüküyor. Halbuki diğer Arap hattı çok daha küçük gözüküyor.
Now I found the BBC. They used to publish Persian in Arabic script. I call it that Farsi, and the same information in Cyrillic script. It's Tajiki.
Aynı bilgilerin farklı dillerde yazıldığını görüyoruz.
Now, before moving forward, I checked that whatever I am observing in the Cyrillic applies to Latin as well. So on the left and the right, you say Bahram, Dar Chasob, Guft, Ki, Khush Bakhtira. You see, it's the same text. And it takes almost the same surface. If you check that over a large amount of text, you will see that the difference is negligible. And the line spacing is the same. Now I take an enormous amount of Persian in Cyrillic and in Arabic. The Persian, the Latin, the Cyrillic side has a fixed value. We know already it's the minion typeface. It's, let's say, 10 points. Now I'm trying to find the best line spacing for the Arabic side, and then I keep scaling until the full length is identical. The correction on the size that I made defines the point value. So that is how I decide what is the equivalent of 10 points in Arabic. It's content, not X height. And then, if I then return to the compared texts, you see left and right are in balance. You can take a word from the right-hand side, dump it on the left-hand side, and the other way around. They look normal. And actually, I discovered that the impression of pen width is more or less the same, which is accidental. And then this problem is then solved like this, and this problem is solved like this. In close-up. And now results. So that is research, observations, research, results. Multilingual publications, you can do 2 separate books. Like we did this for Amsterdam, for the new immigrants, and you see an English and an Arabic book, information about trams and buses.
Aynı kitap, 2 farklı dilde, Arapça ve İngilizce.
And in close-up, this is the Arabic, with also English inserted, and the other way around. the second solution is a single book, but you start from two ends, from the Arabic end and you meet in the middle.
Bu da aynı kitap, tek kitap ama hem Arapça hem İngilizce. Bir taraftan Arapça başlayıp ortaya geliyor, bir taraftan İngilizce başlayıp ortaya geliyor. İkisi ortada buluşuyor.
And you see sample information, the same information in English and in Arabic. I think it's, yeah.
Bilgi olarak da içinde aynı bilgiyi barındırıyor. Bu Arapçanın çok az yer kaplamasının sorunu nasıl çözdüğünü söyledi.
And I think you recognize the phrase "عليكم بحسن الخط فإنه من مفاتيح الرزق." That was the phrase we had in yeah.
Yazı
But
öğrenirken, hat öğrenirken çok yazılan bir metin. Manası da aman hattı öğrenin, güzel yazıyı öğrenin. Çünkü o rızkın anahtarlarındandır manasında.
But what you see here is actually, I think, the only Arabic typeface ever with a manual. And then for Leiden.
Sorry, can I just just a bit summarize it? Just a sec. Hepimiz grafikçi miyiz? Değiliz değil mi? Kısaca söyleyeyim. Aradaki en önemli detay şuydu. Yani yükseklikte Latin alfabesinde X yüksekliği diye bir şey var ve bu minimum harf yüksekliğidir. Asender, desender olarak yükseliyor ve açılıyor. Bunu direkt olarak uyguladığı zaman sağ taraftaki ucube yazı çıkıyor. Çünkü farz edelim kef bir X yüksekliğine verildiği zaman aynısı karşısında devasa gözüküyor ve metin küçücük kalıyor. Ve diyor ki Arap alfabesinde, yani Latin'de bir kutu mantığı var. Arap alfabesinde bu yok. Bunu direkt Latinize ettiğin zaman senin metnin ucube oluyor. Ama onun yerine metinleri içerik olarak karşılaştırıp boyutlarını ona göre değerlendirdiğimiz zaman gerçek formunu alıyor kısaca.
Çok teşekkür ederim. Ara siz de girin.
So now I'm going to another project that is that is also in a way an innovation. Dictionaries are also bilingual, and this is at Leiden University. Brill Publishers had 325 years commemoration, and they had a small table with our contribution to Brill, and it shows something that we did in 1989, and that's very early. The very first completely computerized dictionary of Persian and English. So the entries are English. This was done by the United Nations after the seizure of the American embassy in Tehran. All the Persian Iranian financial assets were frozen. And then they started a trial in The Hague to get their money back. And the enemies, the Persians and the Americans, were together working like friends on collecting the words and the misunderstandings, and with two computers. One computer could only do English and the other computer could only do Persian. And they built with numbers lists of entries of each dispute about what does it mean. And then we got the task to merge these two separate files into one file, and then we created a program that could turn it automatically into a typeset book. Unfortunately, Brill Publishers did not understand how advanced the technology was, so they did not exploit it for a whole new series of dictionaries. They did not, so we had the disadvantage of being ahead of everybody else. But in any case, then we did something for the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. By the way, this is Al-Ba'thatul Hollandiya, the Dutch mission, fil Jaziratil Arabiyya, in the Arabian Peninsula, done by Muhammad Zakaria, who got his ijazat here in this town.
Bu hatta Muhammed Zekeriya tarafından yapılmış bir metin yazı.
But the preface was in the first edition done with a computer model of the handwriting of the Englishman Terence Mitchell, T.F. Mitchell. I showed the Ruka book. We created a computer algorithm, and later we did a second one based on Mehmet Efendi. So this one is a much better
Bu
roka.
Mehmet İzzet Efendi'nin yazısından bakılarak oluşturulmuş bir...
I'm sure some of you look with the eyes of, you know what you're looking at, and this is Miriam's roka.
Anlayacaktır. Bilenler anlar ne kadar farklı güzel olduğunu.
And then we had, so on top you see the old edition, which has still a ragged page, and
Eski baskısı, yeni baskısının farkını.
inside PageMaker, and the second one was done inside InDesign with everything fluent. And here we had two books again, starting from two ends. In the middle there was a collection of photographs, and the
Yine
photographs.
aynı şekilde sağ taraftan İngilizce, Arapça, sol taraftan Arapça başlayan bir kitap. Ortada birleşiyorlar ve ortada da bir resim.
So from the Arab end, you begin the photographs with a photograph of the royal family of Saudi Arabia, and from the Dutch end, you begin with a visit of the King Faisal the father of King Faisal, Crown Prince. Is this Crown Prince Faisal to the Netherlands? He's actually attending military exercises. So you have an honorable point of entry for both sides. But the numbering is different. It starts 1 to whatever it was from the right hand side, and the other numbering starts from the left hand side, and they cross each other. So on each page you have two numbers. So actually I made, for those who are interested in bookmaking, I made two InDesign files. The Arabic is an InDesign file that I pasted as PDF into the book from the back. And then I could still do changes in the Arabic master, and then refresh the PDFs in the second file. And then you must be familiar with the name of Robert Bringhurst. He spent twice or more than a week at our place familiarizing himself with our approach. What few people know is that Bringhurst is famous for his books on book design, but when he was forced to join the army, he volunteered, and by doing so he was able to choose where he went, and he went to the army language school, and he was trained as an Arabic interpreter, which is the same thing that I did, army interpreter. And so he knows much more about Arabic than you would suspect. And he incredibly enjoyed the possibility to discover new technology, and this is his typesetting of a famous Sufi text. And you see here, for Tom and Germ and Miriam, remembering those fine days in Amsterdam, which is of course a great memory. And here the book was designed and set by Robert Bringhurst at Decotype headquarters. But, and this is the glitch, the book starts on the left to right direction. So anyone who reads Arabic has to turn pages the wrong way around. And now I'm looking at another project that we are very proud of, the Library of Arabic Literature. It benefits from this balancing analysis, and you see you have very well balanced, by the way, again, the Ruka, which I'm sure in Istanbul people know what they're looking at. You see these pages are very nicely in balance, and you see we do not compromise the script rules. Not at all. And you see here at the bottom of the page some very mad words pop up. They are actually mad words. And here you see an inset note, which is also part of the English side, so very complex typography in perfect balance. And I would say there are maybe no other books in the history of typography that managed to deal with Arabic and English in such a balanced manner.
Tarihte bu kadar düzenli ve dengeli bir şekilde düzenleme yapılmamış yani.
However, the barcode sits on the front page, if you think Arabic, because this is a library of Arabic literature. and not a library of translated Arabic literature. And then, how do you solve that? For instance, with the concertina binding, and this is a poster that announces a project, and this is the project. You will recognize this kind of design. It's directionally neutral. So it has no direction. It's not left to right.
Yönü yok. Bu kitabın bir yönü yok. Sağa sola yok.
But it is a nice platform for well-balanced Latin and Arabic.
Ama düzgün dengelenmiş Latin harfleriyle Arap harflerini bir arada görmek mümkün.
And you see, the Latin gets all the honor it deserves, but the Arabic also gets all the honor it deserves. They are in cultural balance.
İki yazı çeşidi de hak ettiği onuru görüyor. İkisi de aynı düzende.
And in a way, it's interesting because Daoud Sutton is here, and you see Martin Major. You might know him. Karsten Lucke is also not really a bad designer. Brill by John Hudson, and Miriam is there as well. So it's quite an honorable project. But now you cannot produce concertina literature. So how do you go about this? Now we made a website for the Quran at the behest of the Ministry of Religious Affairs of Oman. And this is the printed edition. We printed the website, so the first ever website that produces a book. But under the book, this is the box with the Mus'haf inside, Mustafa Sharif. But below it is a booklet that explains the whole production. This book cannot be an English book. It cannot be an English dominating book with the barcode on the Arabic side. So what we did is we rotated the spine, and now it is completely equal in approach. So here you see, you open it from the top. If you want to photograph it, I go back. So this is the book from, and then here. And then the book, which was rather small, so we were dictated with this size, so I had to use very small illustrations, and I hate small illustrations, and by rotating it, all of a sudden, there's lots of space. And we count the pages only on the left bottom and the right bottom, so the page spread becomes a single page. And now all of a sudden, both languages are completely imbalanced. And there's no fight between, is it an Arabic book, is it an English book? And you see, you have lots of room to give generous pride of place. This, for instance, illustrates the rationale of the tazih, or the ornamentation of the Quran. It was taken from the landscape. The text is illuminated with the flowers of the mountains of Oman. And so here you see how we constructed this. And from these two images, Lara Kaptan, the designer, extracted a color table. So the whole book uses this dictionary of colors to extract it from these images. And then for the way the text is positioned on the page, we took Hafiz Osman, the classical Mus'haf, for the proportions. And then for the web navigation, we created an Usturlab, which is inspired by this illustration from, and this is actually a bit of a joke, it is taken from the Kitab-i Jihan Numma by Katib Chelebi. And what maybe few of you will know is that if you read the text here, you will see it's not Arabic, it's Ottoman Turkish. But if you read the actual wind directions, you will not read Ottoman Turkish, you will read Dutch. It's my native language. Here, for instance, it says, upside down, it says, let's say this one here, it's Alif Waw, Sin Te. That's O-O-S-T, which is Oost in Dutch. It's our word for east. So actually it's rotated. And that means that this one must be west. And indeed, it's here, wow, sin, te. It's our word, and then you have, and all the other directions are in Dutch.
Bunların hepsi aslında Almanca.
No, not Almanca, Hollandaca. Hollandaca or Flemenkçe. Because in the 17th century, Dutch were to navigation the seas what the Americans are now for navigating the internet. You download at Mac. Böyle bir şey. Anyway, here you see some illustrations of what I explained at the beginning of this afternoon. This book contains all these images, and actually I can give you a link where you can download this.
Bunu indirebileceğiniz bir link size
Yeah. So then there is also a manual for the website, and anyone familiar with calligraphic styles knows that roka is never used for the Quran.
Bu oluşturdukları website'ı kullanmak için bir kılavuz var.
So for the Arabs, we have here wajihat al-mustakhdim, which is the user interface. That is a technical statement on top of the image of the website.
Kullanıcı arayüzü.
And this is where you can find the website.
Bu web sitesinin linki, az önce de bahsettiğimiz web sitesi, bu link üzerinden o Kur'an-ı Kerim'in farklı çeşitlerde fontun.
So all the details of the website are shown here. I think I'm taking a lot of your time because I'm not yet fully there. This is what made Miriam so proud when she presented this in Antwerp. How is this all received by the public? Because we can enjoy it as designers and technicians and scholars, but the polyglot audience. Now it happens that there is a valley in Tajikistan it's actually the Pamir Valley is shared between Afghanistan and Tajikistan. It's the same people. And a Dutch scientist was sent there to investigate the sources of our food staples, like fruits, grains. They knew that in that valley, the most natural diversity is maintained of the food staples that we depend on. And he was sent there to analyze them. And the second mission was to introduce modern, Western, European agricultural technology into that valley. And this is the scholar, and he found a colleague who was also there, and they started a collaboration. He quickly discovered that he was wrong in the idea to tell them how to do it, because they had been doing it for 6,000-7,000 years, and nobody needed to tell them how to exploit nature to create harvest the best manner possible. So he flipped the whole thing around and started to collect information, and to the point that he asked, if you have these incredible harvests, why do you have this boring food? Because he was fed Russian meals every day with pork and greasy potatoes. And then they said, well, that's because you're from the West. We don't eat this. It's like a turkey. We know how to cook food. And then he started to collect the recipes. And in passing, they discovered that how can you do this script? And so this is Miriam's contribution. And so they discovered Miriam's Nastaliq, and then we got a collaboration. Miriam made a Nastaliq for Pakistan. This is all about happy people. That it's just fun to do. And I mean, we have a painter in our presence, we have designers in our presence. Some people work for a customer, some people actually work for fun. And you see that the point is, how do you make something that is well structured and that looks good? And this is an example. And then you have this is in Vicenza in Italy, the people with the best technology, the best precision. Actually, this was not in Vicenza, this was in Hungary. They found different, but anyway, this is the resulting book. And it's also quite monumental. happy author. And I think that some of you may remember that there are also pictures of Ottoman calligraphers with this image, with the rose. A happy co-author, and now, at the end, I'm almost there. The authors, the book was printed for a European public, but they disagreed. It should be printed for the people of the Pamir Valley. But it was 1,500 copies, and it costs a fortune to get it there. And someone donated the money. When there was a big newspaper article, someone in the Netherlands donated the money, and they were able to truck this to Tashkent. And the main town in Tajikistan. It was Dushanbe. It was transported to Dushanbe. This is in Dushanbe. Now they're distributing it with little to every little village on both sides of the border has a copy of this book. And it stands next to the Mus'haf in their homes. And now how is this received? So here you see the actual, it's a book, it's a photographic documentary, it's an anthropological documentary, it's a biological documentary, and it's a cookbook. And actually here is a recipe, it documents food. This is the English translation, but there is also the Persian version on the left in Farsi, on the right in Tajiki, and close up here. And this is the actual soup eaten on the southern border in Afghanistan, and this is the same soup eaten on the other side of the border. Slightly different, and you see the three languages together. Actually, it's a question whether you call it three languages, and then of course the typography. It got 2 prizes. First, the Gourmand competition selected it out of hundreds and hundreds of cookbooks as the best cookbook of 2016. So you find it in the bookstores as best cookbook. And then it got the Ronald McDonald Award, which is Ronald McDonald was a strange pioneer who actually accidentally landed in Japan and managed to survive and come back with an enormous description. And then the prize went to the whole team, and here you see the book designer, you see the publisher, you see the 2 authors, and here is Miriam and me celebrating this prize. And then the people. It was of course for the people of the Baroi Mardumi Pamir. And here you see, for instance, a lady who enjoys a picture of herself in the book, where she's working on crushing
kernels of apricots.
Apricot kernels.
Crush them and then you get oil.
Kayısı çekiyor. Neden? Why?
To make like olive oil, like
To use everything.
they use everything. So the food oil pressed out of the kernels of apricots to get oil out of that.
But there's arsenic in it also.
Who cares? They're
Yeah.
Tajikis.
Okay. I mean, it's food, like,
No,
it's oil for food, right?
Yes, but yes.
Like,
I'm not sure. That's a question that the author would be able to answer.
Okay.
But we are complete ignorance
I'm
here.
kind of shocked.
But anyway, the idea is the intense joy and interest of the people whose culture was finally described in fine detail, like this man. This is priceless. And here you see this makes it worthwhile. And you see here in the back the authors. So that is the full presentation. And here you see a glimpse of how we design these things, how we build them.
Bizim buraları nasıl dizayn ettiğimizle alakalı.
So, thanks for your attention. It was really fun to have your intense interest.
Maybe some people have questions.
Yeah.
If you have time.
Sure.
Sorular olan varsa sorabiliriz.
I leave Sunday night, so I have all the time.
Bir sorumuz varmış web sitesiyle alakalı herhalde.
Link istiyorlar galiba.
Link mi sadece lazım?
Yani bir de uygulama kullandığı, yani Arapça alfabeleri için bir uygulama kullanmış, gösterdi. Onun adını yazmak istiyorum. Bir de linkini.
Bu bahsettiğimiz web sitesinde metinleri o şekilde açıp kısaltabiliyorsunuz ve o şekilde PDF olarak indirebiliyorsunuz.
So what was?
She was asking about the website, and also she asked about the program that you're using right now, and
The program that we use
The
for
deco
what?
type.
The-
Like they're asking if they can use it for their typography works, the deco type. It's still
At this moment, negative. It's not available.
şimdilik mümkün değil diyor.
It used to be available in this form in design.
Kullanmak mümkün.
Let me see if I. Like this is an older version of InDesign,
Versiyonu bu InDesign'da.
but Adobe changed their architecture,
Ama
and we have
Adobe bunun yapılımını değiştirdi.
we have to create a new plugin. InDesign in 2003-2004 was the first modern architecture for Adobe products. Now they have caught up with Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator, and they have completely reworked the font technology. And for that, we need to redesign our own connections to the system. So this is the old InDesign that had all these possibilities. However, we have already this technology. I think I showed it as as images, but this is the actual online editor. It creates a series of instructions. I can clear everything, remove all the instructions. I hope it doesn't really do the job. But to cut a long story short, at the moment it's not available, but we are working.
Şu anda bu kullanıma açık değil.
But there is a website called Mushaf Muscat. If you go,
Mushat Kur'an-ı Kerim için oluşturulmuş bir web sitesi. Muscat Umman'ın başkenti.
The Mushaf Muscat is no longer directly in contact with us. We worked intensely with the previous Minister of Religious Affairs, but after the Sultan Qaboos passed away, a new Sultan took over, Sultan Haitham, and the new Minister of Religious Affairs doesn't follow up with us. And that makes it difficult to keep this working.
Daha önceki hükümetle çalıştıkları için şu anda değişen hükümet ile bununla alakalı tekrar değişimler yapamıyorlarmış.
But we have various projects cooking. Don't worry about it.
Ama bunun dışında yeni çalışmalarımız var. O yüzden çok endişelenmeyin.
This is an impression of that website.
Bu web sitesini bir görelim.
Do you have any other questions?
Başka sorusu olan bir soru var.
Thank you very much for the amazing presentation. I'm really mesmerized. I'm Ahmet Saçmalı. I'm the founder of Lexicons. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I've heard.
of it.
Yeah.
Actually, I have been just coping with some problems, some challenges while developing a product for digitizing some dictionaries or just Ottoman stuff, or just books in Ottoman Turkish, let's say. So I just would like to share my challenge with you. Hopefully, you're just gonna be able to come up with a solution. For instance, the letter H. We do know that there are different shapes of these letters in the medial position, for instance.
Yes.
It's permissible to write it in two different shapes. One of which is kind of the combination of two circles, and the other one is a kind of V shape. Okay? They're both
Okay, so
Legal.
we have actually, you're talking about, give me a sec.
Ha.
We're talking of, for instance, you need a letter first, lam, ha,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also we do have another ha, which is not a connector, and we use this in Ottoman Turkish when it's a vowel. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't know whether you have it, but we,
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah,
another one. But it's not in question now. What is in question is this one. This is just one character, but it's just supposed to be displayed in two different shapes in the medial position. If we're just gonna use different characters, so this is just gonna lead to some problems while searching. Okay, so the character,
I understand your question.
the
Yes.
values are gonna be same. So
This is exactly.
yeah, so, but I'm not talking about in the printed environment, but the digital environment.
I think we have a conversation.
Okay.
Yes, and we also have a way of dealing with this, and I can quickly show you the underlying rationale. You're talking about the letter H. And there is a whole family of this. It's a whole family. Essentially, form and content have to be separated. Typographers only think form, and when they start to work with digital technology, they are digitizing form. As a linguist, I think this is not the correct approach. You have to think of form and content, where content is in the mind, it's abstraction, and shape is physical, it's visible. And you have to have a layer of logic and control between content and form. And that's, I think, already visible in this thing. You see that nothing changed here. And here you see, on the top level, you see the logical, the signification, the logical level. On the bottom level, you see an additional layer of information which formats the choices. So you see 64. So basically, 647 is your letter H.
Yes.
Then it occurs several times. Now the first 647 is marked by 0, which is the default shape. The second is marked by 64, and the third is marked by 128. And if I save this, I can actually save it as UTF-32, which nobody uses. So we have 16 positions available for the actual top line. So the top line goes in the 16, and the other 16 we use for encoding this. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is that there are actual Unicode characters. These are called variation selector characters. These are invisible for a text engine. You can put them in flat in plain text. They will not be detected by a text engine unless the font can do something with it. And if our font recognizes the presence of such a variation selector, it will execute a variation. So we have a conversation and maybe a possible collaboration to solve these issues.
Okay. Can I just ask a second question if I have the luxury?
Well, by all means, my plane leaves Sunday evening.
Okay. Just kaf ba ya. Okay. When we just type
Ba-
these letters, kaf ba ya.
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Of course.
Kaf.
This way.
Okay, but the first letter must be kaf.
Kef. Yeah.
Kaf ba ya.
Kaf
Three
ba ya.
letters. Okay, then I'm done. Okay.
Is this it?
Yeah, this is the shape I was looking for. So in the font that I've been using, the dentation for the ba was kind of it's like in the medial position, but now the ligature is okay. So this reason I have to be able to find this font.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I can show you this. This is what you're looking. This is the naive. The ugly one, and then we made an ugly font, and then we have one that behaves slightly better.
Yeah, that one.
And then we made one.
And this is awesome.
And then we have. Let's go back to this one. It knows a bit more, and now you can see there are many ways of doing this. So if I can again do ka, be, ye, ka, be, ye, kaf, be, ye. Now you will see, if you look at the bottom line, you see numbers appear. You will see.
I've seen there's mix.
Oh, I sit in.
Yes.
Oh, I'm seeing more than you. So this bottom line, if you move away, so okay. Now, okay. So a moment before, everything is the same. Can you move? Yeah. So we're looking now at the calf. It becomes 64 suddenly. Now I'm looking at this one. Now the yeah becomes 64. That's the first variation. Now I'm going to this one. Now I have two 64s in one. So this one is 64 and this one is also so the 64 is the first variant selector. And I could also go back to this one, select this shape, and then. Oh no! Oh, sorry. No, there are only 3 variants. No, there are 4 variants. This one, of course. So the last one has 0, 0, 0, 0. Then this one has 0, 60. The 0 is then at 20. 20 is the margin, is the space. Then you have another group of 4. Anyway, so the top layer is what you search, and the layer below is the shape. So now form and content are separate layers.
But in order to apply these variations, this means that we are not going to use the same font across the database. Rather, we're just going to be applying these variations on the basis of the verse or ligature.
Well, first,
to differentiate.
I never use the word ligature. If you remember the military examples,
yes,
where a te of the last te merges with the alif of the next word, that's a ligature.
Yeah, okay.
And the other ones are fusions.
Fusions.
You need a new word here. A fusion is something that happens in Arabic. Indimaj. They go together. So that helps to keep. So basically, we're talking about developing a science of Arabic script. You need sometimes new technology. You need to borrow methodology from other disciplines. And the result is, and technology. So here you see the top line is these are the nominal values. You will always be able to search and select. And the bottom line is additional shape information. And Unicode has borrowed an idea that we developed 2 decennia before them, a separate unit that is transparent that only gives shape information, and that's now what you see there. Yeah. Well, thank you for having this opportunity.
Bu fırsatı verdiğiniz için çok teşekkür ederim.